Nearly 2 years since Ryan Larsen disappeared after walking out of his elementary school in May of 2021.
In Nebraska, a person is pronounced dead after 5 years of being missing. But family of Ryan Larsen were in court today in hopes of pronouncing him dead sooner than that.
Our Marla Lundak was in the courtroom today, and she continues our coverage live.
John, Jacqueline, after a quick 35-minute hearing in Sarpy County Court, no decision was made on if Ryan Larsen will be pronounced legally dead. Now, in those 35 minutes, Ryan Larsen's mother, Tammy, testified about her son's disability and his inability to take care of himself. They focused heavily on the fact that the search for Ryan took place around a body of water, that being Walnut Creek, and that he was not able to swim. Attorneys argued that because of these factors, he was exposed to, quote, enhanced danger, and that the court should presume him to be dead. They say this ruling must be made now. They believe the deadline to make a claim against the Papillion La Vista School District is approaching, and the Larsen family needs to be able to hold them accountable, as they believe the district is responsible for his disappearance. Now, just before today's hearing, attorneys for the Larsen family withdrew a subpoena that would have required La Vista Police Chief Bob Lawson to testify today. Lawson was fighting that subpoena, claiming that information about the investigation into Ryan's case needed to remain confidential. Now, that subpoena was withdrawn shortly before today's hearing. Attorneys told me they had everything they needed to make their case. We'll have much more on this coming up tonight at 5, live in Sarpy County. Marla Lundak, 6 News.
All right, thanks for that report, Marlo. Meantime, we're told the judge will make her decision in the coming days and will notify the attorneys for the Larsen family when she does make a ruling.